to the Virtual Boy Boys podcast. My name is Chris, and I am joined once again by my good friend, Matt.
Though the original Star Wars trilogy is much better in terms of a filmmaking perspective, the Star Wars prequels are much better in terms of the thematics, what it means to go to war, and how a few people can have a massive impact on the scale of a society. In this video essay, I will go into why the prequels are better thematically than the original Star Wars trilogy. Part 1, the prequels have... I'm gonna stop there.
I was gonna let you go. I was like, all right.
I was waiting for you to stop me.
I was just wanted to see. Can I actually send you something on that related note?
Yeah, sure.
Because I'll read it out loud for the audience here. But there's a Twitter account called Star Wars Facts that I saw someone retweet. And it was something that was I don't know anything about Star Wars. Don't know shit. I haven't watched anything.
I know what you're gonna say. I will explain what it means after the fact.
So I follow Imran Khan, who is one of my favorite follows on Twitter. He's a very good gaming journalist. And he retweeted this quote and with the caption saying, "Y'all realize this is stupid as shit, right? I need you to tell me you know this is stupid." So since you know more Star Wars, can you read the quote and then explain it to me?
Sure. So the quote is, and there may be some current events that maybe be related to it, but
yeah.
Palpatine always knew Darth Vader would betray him, and right before he died in Return of the Jedi, he, quote, called on all the dark power of the Force to thrust his consciousness far, far away to a secret place he had been preparing. So you know how in the end, like, I know you're not a Star Wars, but at the end of the episode 6, the original trilogy, like, there's the whole moment where Luke is about to die and Darth Vader steps in, throws Palpatine over the edge or whatever.
Yeah, I know.
You're familiar with that moment?
I know enough about that, about like kind of like that sequence. Yes.
Yeah. So, but Palpatine, for all intents and purposes, dies there.
Right.
That's what happens.
Okay.
But then the new trilogy, the Disney trilogy, comes along. And they don't have a plan for, like, the each movie in a row. They just decided, okay, for episode 7, we're just going to remake A New Hope. For episode 8, we're going to hand it off to Rian Johnson and let Rian Johnson do whatever he wants. Even though the characters are already established, and Rian Johnson has his very own unique way of filmmaking that is a really good way of filmmaking, but didn't fit in the Star Wars universe. And then for episode 9, we're going to take it away from him, ignore episode 8, and then do whatever the fuck we want.
Okay.
And make the worst piece of Star Wars media ever that includes the 70s Christmas special that everyone rags on.
and I'm guessing just Palpatine is resurrected during these...
Because Palpatine was, like, he wasn't... You think that, there's, like, a plot line of Palpatine being resurrected throughout the trilogy, right? At this point is probably what you're thinking?
Yeah.
No, he just shows up in episode 9. It's like, he's not really dead.
They have no explanation for it.
Well, not really, no. It's just like, the Sith is forever. But some shit like that. But the thing was, like a big, like, the thing of, like, not having a fucking idea what they were doing to start out was... In episode 7, one of the big plot points was, who are Rey's parents? Rey's, like, on this planet alone. She doesn't know who they are. She's trying to figure out who her parents are, right? This is Daisy Ridley, the main character.
Right.
And then in episode 8, Kylo Ren and her have, like, this big Force connection thing. And I could go into Kylo Ren and how much wasted potential that guy fucking has, but I won't to make this short. But he basically goes to Rey and says, "Your parents were nobodies." And that was, like, a huge, like, subversion of expectations, right? That was a cool thing where it's like, your parents weren't anyone important. And that's what everyone was expecting. They were like, Rey's going to be a Skywalker. Rey's going to be a Kenobi, like someone huge connected. But then Kylo comes, he's like, nope, they were no one. And Kylo's the son of Leia and Han. So, like, he is someone in the universe.
Okay.
But Rey's a nobody. And then in episode 9, comes back, and they're like... Rey, I didn't tell you the whole truth. Your parents were nobodies because they wanted to be nobodies because because your grandfather is fucking Palpatine. Absolutely.
Oh wow. So they
weren't
basically
expecting that, were you?
They were They kept on rewriting the whole idea. Then they kept on rewriting that part of it over and over and over again.
Yes.
Wow. All right.
Because it was Abrams, it was Johnson, and then it was Abrams again. And at the very fucking end, despite the whole point of like at least in 8 and kind of 9, like this idea of like wanting to not be the like descendant of something, and the whole idea of like greatness can come from everywhere, which was the main message of The Last Jedi episode 8. And I will defend most parts of that movie.
Yeah.
Rey fucking he buries Luke's lightsaber in the sand, and then some lady asks you, is like, who are you? I'm Rey Skywalker. It's like, what was the fucking point of any of this? You being a Skywalker means nothing.
The unbridled rage at that point is just so good. Which one was Rogue One?
So that was a side movie, a prequel movie to A New Hope.
Oh, so that it wasn't part of the 789 then?
No, it was not part of 789.
Oh, okay. But that was a newer movie, right?
Yes, still a Disney movie. I've heard good things about it. I never got through it. I was never super invested in it.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's not the disaster that episode 9 is.
Yeah, no, I was just wondering because another guy I follow, Gary Whitta, was one of the main writers behind that. He's currently a co-host on Kind of Funny Games Daily at some points. So he's had a very strange career, and I was just kind of curious about that. But that is wild. I definitely do want to get into the Star Wars universe at some point.
I will recommend things for you.
Yeah, no,
I will tell you what's good, and I will tell you things you should stay far away from.
Well, I know I have to watch The Phantom Menace. That's all I know.
The best Star Wars movie is The Phantom Menace.
Yes, 100%.
You've heard from everybody that everyone loves that movie.
Yeah, it is top tier film, all-time classic. Welcome everyone to Virtual Ball Boys. Sorry for like the 8-minute talk about Star Wars, but that was funny as hell. I'm totally down for that. Welcome. So we have quite the show for you guys today. We gotta recap everything that happened last week for the divisional round. We are down to the final 4. It is championship week after all. So we'll recap divisional round. We got a lot of coaching news. We ended up missing a coach last second because it ended up happening like late at night after we recorded. And then we have like a shit ton of others that came through as well. We're also going to discuss Philip Rivers' retirement briefly as well. And then of course VBBFL recap, Super Taco Bros discussion, which that will take like 5 seconds when I say discussion. That's not long. And then championship picks. And we will the two of us will have I think that I'm predicting that we're going to have the same 2 picks. But I could be wrong about that. Things could have shifted from earlier this week to now. But
yeah, we'll see.
But I think that we'll give you guys our Super Bowl predictions essentially, or who we think is going to be in the Super Bowl at the end of the show. All right. So let's kick things off, all right? Shall we? We'll start with the game with probably like the least amount of storylines and the least amount of care for me over it is the Rams at Packers. This was a game I was kind of going into it thinking I'm definitely going with the Packers, but who knows? Maybe the Rams could play close. The problem was that Cooper Kupp did not end up being in there, and Aaron Donald was not out there a whole lot either. He was active, but he was not playing as much just because of the injury, and ultimately that led the Rams to not have too close of a game as they may have liked to have. Basically the game was somewhat close in the first and second quarter. The Packers were up, got up to 16-3, but then a touchdown from Jared Goff to Van Jefferson ended up leading to the game being 16-10, but then the game got out of hand from there. The Packers offense had a great day, and so did the defense. The defense doesn't get a whole lot of love, but they did a lot to make sure to hold the offense to hold Goff to 174 yards in the air. Didn't let Akers go above 100 yards rushing. Just a solid performance from the Packers. For the Rams, what do you think the future of this team is right now? Because I think the big question is about whether or not Jared Goff is going to kind of continue to be in the starting quarterback for this team.
Yeah, kind of weird how there have been like a couple quarterbacks who 2 or 3 years ago everyone was fawning over, got super big contracts, and now people are wondering if it was fucking worth it.
Mm.
You do not want to be in that conversation, Mr. Goff.
Yeah, but he's been planted right in it. Like he's.
Oh no, I know.
Yeah,
he doesn't want to be, but he is.
He absolutely is. Wentz, him and Wentz are that whole 2016 quarterback draft class is wild.
Who else was in it?
So that it's Goff, Wentz, and now and Dak Prescott.
Ah, yes.
And I only say all of it just because like those are like the big three of the group. I might be forgetting someone, but Dak. He is up in the air right now with the Cowboys just because he's coming off the injury. They're gonna have to try to sign him to a long-term contract, or they should anyway. I mean, we'll talk about the Cowboys next week. But like the Rams, they went to the Super Bowl with Jared Goff. He had like a relatively all right season. He's always been known for having a pretty good arm. But this season just has not been good for him. And yes, he's been hampered by the whole, thumb surgery or whatever it was that he ended up having. But
yeah, for sure. But just throughout the season, very inconsistent. Throughout his career, pretty inconsistent. Yeah. So I don't know if that's something the Rams want to keep going forward, honestly. Yeah. But I also don't know what you do because you paid him so much. And they're one of the of all of the possible landing spots for Watson, if that ends up being a thing. I can think of other than the 6 teams who definitely do not need a quarterback, every team should be trying to get Watson right now. But the Rams are one of these 2 teams that I don't think have the money for it. The other one being the Saints.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like the Goff is a very the whole relationship between Goff and Sean McVay is kind of been weltering a little bit. There's been reports that they are not getting along. I would be surprised if they moved on though. Like I don't we hear those reports, but it doesn't sound like the situation is as toxic as say the Eagle situation was when they forced
and I don't think
Doug Peterson out.
I don't think it is either.
Yeah, like I think I think that Sean McVay has kind of earned himself, as he's still one of the best coaches in the league right now. I think that he's earned himself just trying to be able to figure things out. I don't know how like tradable the contract is for Goff, but if they can strike something where they can get rid of him, get some sort of compensation back, and then maybe go for a rookie quarterback. In some ways, I don't know. I don't think you would get a first round draft pick for Goff.
Oh
either.
No, you wouldn't. You would not.
So I don't know. It's
I think they're stuck with Goff just based on the trades that they made, based on the draft picks they have. They can't get rid of him.
Yeah, they're basically they're stuck in like a win now situation where there's not going to be a lot of fluctuation with this roster unless they really just blow the whole thing up, and that would take like catastrophic getting rid of all their good players type situation.
Right.
I don't think they're there. I think they'll try to patch things up. But that's the Rams. Next up, the 8:00 game, the Baltimore Ravens at the Buffalo Bills. And this one started out with a first half that was that you could probably go to sleep to, and I'm pretty sure I actually did for this one. There is all of 3 points by each team scored, and many missed field goals. Three missed field goals in this game. 2 by the greatest of all time, Justin Tucker.
I was in shock that Justin Tucker missed those.
It was devastation, just pure devastation on all sides there. But then the third quarter struck, and the Bills started to hit their groove. Josh Allen got his team down the field, and threw a pass to Diggs to score the touchdown. And then it seemed like this was going to start to turn into like a back and forth affair, because Lamar Jackson was marching down the field, and he saved the drive at one point where he took the ball and he ran it a good good amount of ways. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Taron Johnson of the Buffalo Bills picks off Lamar Jackson at the goal line and runs for 101 yards for a touchdown. And that was that.
That was incredible.
Yeah. That was it. I mean, the game was over at that point.
Yeah, there was nothing more Lamar could do. His confidence was shot, and then he went down later to a really bad, really nasty fall in the end zone.
Yeah, he ended up getting concussed and was taken out of the game. Tyler Huntley ended up coming in from rookie quarterback from University of Utah. But yeah, that sucked. I mean, that part really was a bummer, because you would have liked to see Lamar Jackson fight to the end. But at the same time, good on them, good on the NFL for pulling him out and keeping him out on that one. Make sure he doesn't get hurt more. But when it comes to the Ravens, they're in a very unique spot right now, because they once again lost in the divisional round. They at least got a playoff game like that. Now Lamar Jackson has won his playoff game, but now he goes into an offseason once again after the divisional round. And what happens from here? What can we do? What can the Ravens do to kind of get back here and actually succeed this time? Because they're close.
They are. And like you have the defense, you have like the good parts of the offense, but something on that offensive side of the ball, as unique as it is, if that one thing goes wrong, you can't really come back from it.
Right.
So I don't know if it's definitely like you need more support from Lamar. Hollywood Brown's not really cutting it. Des Bryant isn't going to cut it.
Yeah, it was. I mean, Hollywood had he had a few good games down the stretch. I mean, but again, he hasn't been super reliable, like you said. And I think you have to give him support on that front. Their offensive line is an issue. I mean, the amount of bad snaps that happened in that game was not good. Was very reminiscent of what happened last week against Ben Roethlisberger, or with the Steelers and Ben Roethlisberger early in the Browns game. So they need to do more to help Lamar Jackson. And I keep on, it's always going to be with Lamar. People just look at him as being like a controversial quarterback because he's an unconventional quarterback. But and they're gonna want to put blame on him. And yeah, he's had some weird throws in the playoffs. I mean, there was that one terrible interception that he threw against the Titans that was like, what in the world was that? Yeah. But I mean, he is by far. He also, as much as he may hurt this team at times, he also saves them. He saves their bacon a whole lot with his running. And so I'm hoping that they could get him a vertical game going, or get the vertical game going at some point, so that they can compete in the future for sure.
Yeah.
And congratulations to Buffalo. We'll talk about Buffalo a little bit, but congratulations,
Buffalo,
back to back victories, and now going to the AFC Championship game. All right, next up, the game of the weekend, the Browns at the Chiefs. This game started to get out of hand, it felt like, after in the first half, because the score was 19-3. The Chiefs were just continuously just kind of moving up and down the field. Not as big a score as you would expect out of a Chiefs offense, but regardless, they were up big, and the Browns were just not really getting much movement. There was they did have, they had a field goal drive that went down in the first quarter, but then they had a 7-play 13-yard drive, and then a 6-play 74-yard drive, but then they fumbled it, and this was the play, I believe, where the ball was rolled out of the end zone for a touchback.
Yes.
And that ultimately gave it to the Chiefs. Now, that was, I think, for many, was, people are kind of attributing that to maybe why the Browns ended up going on to lose. We could talk about that part in a second. Mm-hmm. But then the third quarter came, and things got a little bit more interesting, because then the Browns started catching back up, started getting back into it, and on top of that, Patrick Mahomes, a day after Lamar Jackson goes down with and stays out because of the concussion protocol, Patrick Mahomes goes down with a concussion. He's out of the game, and we have Chad Henne come in as the starting quarterback for the Chiefs. And this is when the Browns start coming back. It becomes a 22-17 game after a touchdown from the Browns. And then Chad Henne has to ice the game. He starts like kind of doing some good things, and then throws a terrible pick in the end zone. Then the Browns couldn't get anything going, and then to end the game, Chad Henne, they basically set it up where Tyreek Hill got it down to the 4th and 1. We thought at first it was a first down, did not end up happening. And so then, it was that I had to rewrite that. Chad Henne actually scrambled from the KC-48 for 13 yards to get it to 4th and 1, and then they set it up so that way it looked like they were going to try to get the Browns to jump off sides. But then, instead, they actually snapped the ball, and Chad Henne threw a pass to Tyreek Hill, and Tyreek Hill got the first down. That's what iced the game.
Nuts. That was nuts.
For the Kansas City Chiefs, and Henne then just took a knee, and that was it. 22-17 was the final score. Your reaction to the game and to any of its key parts?
I felt so bad for Cleveland because they were in it,
Mm-hmm.
and if a couple different things went their way, it would have been great. Yeah. The fumble into the end zone rule sucks. It was more the leading with the helmet call that I think was I had more of an issue with, that the refs missed.
Yep, that was it. That was a big discussion point.
Yeah. But it's the game. You have to roll with it. And for what it's worth, the Browns did a great job coming back.
Yeah, the whole, the fumble into the end zone, that's been a rule that many people have deemed the dumbest rule in football. I don't hate it, but I also understand that maybe, okay, if the ball were to fumble out of the end zone, how about give it back to the offense, but maybe give it to them on the 20-yard line. Like, I feel like there has to be some sort of like if you roll it, if it fumbles out of the end zone on the other side, then it's a safety. I feel like it has to mean something when you fumble it out of the ends of the other way, because those are sacred parts of the field, because you get 6 points on those parts of the field, and you don't get 6 points anywhere else. So I think that that rules can be debated, and I can see where it could be adjusted a little bit, but not the entire way, where people are like, just give it back to them on the 1 yard line. It's just like, all right, well, that's a little too on the nose. When it comes to the ending, though, I just thought, like, what a call by, I'm gonna guess it was Andy Reid. It could have been Eric Bieniemy at the same time. I don't know, but it was, how bold is it that despite having, Patrick Mahomes on the sidelines, that they were like, we're going to trust this quarterback who hasn't played a snap since 2014, or in a meaningful game since 2014. And we're just going to have him come out, and we're going to trust him to complete a 4th and 1 pass to Tyreek Hill. And he did it. It's just wild. It's just absolutely wild.
There's a reason why the Chiefs are as good as they are.
Yeah. It has to do with coaching, and it has to do with just they just have a ton of talent that they can make it work consistently. So yeah, I feel terrible for Cleveland, but I think if I had to look at the 4 teams that lost this divisional weekend, weirdly enough, I mean, none of us expected the Browns to get this far, but like,
no.
The fact that this is the team with the most hope coming out of divisional round weekend compared to the other 3 teams that lost is wild.
Cleveland is in such a good position going forward. They have a great defense. They have a really kicking offense, provided that Odell Beckham stays not on the offense.
Yeah, it's because of Odell.
It is because of Odell not being there that they're playing well, and I will stick to that theory. And then Kevin Stefanski, great hire.
Yeah,
fantastic hire.
Yeah, we'll see. It's gonna be really interesting next year with the Browns having the amount of hype that they do. I could see that they get like a week 1 primetime game or something.
Oh yeah, for sure.
To start off the year, 100%. All right, last but not least on the divisional round recap here, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the New Orleans Saints. The Saints got up early. It felt like that things were not going well for the Buccaneers. At one point, there was some sort of, I thought there was a fumble or something that the Buccaneers had. Okay, I'm looking at it now. It does not look like it, so never mind. But ultimately what ended up going down was that they tied the game 13-13. It was 13-13 at the half. But then the turnovers kept on coming for the Saints. And then on top of that, it was just the Buccaneers defense was just turning it on. They were not letting the Saints score. And the defense that has been lauded and has been very good for the Saints just completely gave way to a passing attack that has just improved over time for the Buccaneers. And ultimately, the Bucs, who were swept in blowout fashion in the regular season by the Saints, got their revenge in the big spot, and now Brady's going to once again another championship weekend. What's your thoughts about after this game?
God, it sucked to see the Saints play this way, just because I know that Drew Brees, this was probably his last game.
Yeah, 100%.
But it really as much as I don't like Tom Brady, it's hard to deny that is probably the best who has ever played this game.
Oh no! Oh yeah, there's not a question. I mean, you could love or hate him, but he's definitely the best.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. I admittedly wasn't totally tuned into this particular game.
Yeah,
but
I had to watch on and off as well. But I just know that Drew Brees just has had a really rough year. This was not he from the he started the year as he's the league's good guy, and then his locker room nearly turns on him because of the national anthem comments that he made.
Yeah.
And then he starts this year and gets injured, misses a ton of games, then comes back and just does not perform to expectation in any way, shape, or form. I think that the Saints, who are some of the most creative play callers out there, they needed to use Jameis Winston more. There was the one touchdown pass that like really sparked it for them. I think took place in the second quarter. It was Winston threw to Smith for 56 yards. That was that they actually stole that play from the Chicago Bears. That was the play.
The one that Winston dropped.
Yeah, that was that. It was that exact play. They
and
it was and the Saints succeeded versus the Bears did not.
Of course, that happened.
Yeah, it's really just like a knife in the heart type situation for the Chicago Bears there. But it worked, and that's why it seemed like there was some hope, because then like the Saints, they got the touchdown, and then the Bucks the pucks were held a few times on their drives, but then the turnovers were killing the Saints, and the Bucks ran away with it. I for the Saints going forward, it is predicted that that Drew Brees is going to retire. So yeah, what do they do at quarterback? Who fucking knows? I mean, do they just go with?
It's not just.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so it's not just what they do at quarterback, but there's so many other problems in terms of roster construction that they're going to have on their team. They're going to have the most dead cap this year, no matter what happens. They do not have a lot of money to spend.
Yeah.
So Winston was just on a 1-year deal, right?
I think he was. I would imagine, because most backups
there's
are.
Him you have to deal with. There's Taysom you have to deal with. There's potentially bringing in someone else. There's I think Lattimore is due a contract.
Mm. Yeah,
the Saints are not. The Saints are not in a good position contract wise, and I think that's really going to affect them next year. I would not be surprised if out of the 4 teams that were eliminated this round, that the Saints end up being the worst next year.
Yeah, no, yeah, I was trying to look at it, and I can agree with that. I didn't really know what was kind of what in terms of the cap room, what they were gonna have to deal with this year. So that and knowing the Rams are also in a little bit of a cap hell as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that this offseason is gonna be very interesting, because for the first time in like forever, the cap's gonna not go up because of COVID and like new budget concerns. So, we may see like a record number of restructures and releases. Like, who knows? But it's I wouldn't be surprised if the Saints don't make it back again. But it would just be a bummer, because this is probably the best defense that the Saints had in a while.
Yeah.
And it just was wasted because of lack of talent on the offense. Well, at least with Drew Brees, unfortunately. They hate to shoulder around Drew Brees, but that kind of was what happened.
Yeah.
So there you go. That was your divisional recap. We wanted to focus. We usually like focusing on the losing teams there, because we're not going to be able to talk about them again.
Mm-hmm.
So next up, the coaching trackers situation. We have a whole lot of coaches that have filled in roles here. 5 of the 6 openings that we still had open have been filled now. And so let's start off with Robert Saleh. Saleh, of the defensive coordinator of the 49ers, is now the head coach of the New York Jets. This Robert Saleh was probably among the most coveted head coaches of this offseason. Many people were expecting him to be hired, and the Jets landed him. And now the question is, will Sam Darnold be playing for him, or will Deshaun Watson be playing for him? That's the question that we got going on here. But ultimately, what's your thoughts on the hire and on the situation?
Hire's great. Saleh's one of the best that they could have hired. I just don't know how to think about the Jets next year. Period.
Yeah.
Because they don't have playmakers on offense or defense.
Yeah, I mean,
and they're kind of just like them and the Jaguars right now are just kind of like nothing teams to me.
Yeah.
So
what's going to be interesting though, because I agree with you in a lot of sense. I do think that there's some guys that are there that like, okay, like Quinn Williams and Marcus May on the defensive side, like those guys could end up being good, but we don't know. Like they're big question marks at the moment.
Yeah.
I want to see what Robert Saleh does though, because we saw what happened with the 49ers defense this year. They got a ton of injuries, and yet we're still so competitive. Completely shut down the Cardinals were not that great of a team down the stretch, but they still completely shut down the Cardinals. In that Week 16 game when they did not have many good players on their defense, and that was because Saleh was calling a great game and knew exactly what to call. Like he's a very, very good coach, and there has not been this much praise for a coach that has been hot that to be hired as a head coach that we've seen in kind of quite some time. Every single player that has worked under him praise him consistently. So I'm not saying the Jets are a playoff team next year, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're 7-9, 8-8, even if it's talent poor. Just because you have a great coach, you can overcome some of those things, and even mediocre players can end up playing like all stars. In those situations. And also noteworthy, and I don't know if he's the first, but he is a Muslim American.
Nice.
Has been hired as a head coach. So that's I'm not too sure if he's the first. I could absolutely be wrong there. But whether he is or not, it's good for diversity in the league, and we'll talk about that element of it in a second as we go on to Arthur Smith of the Atlanta Falcons has been hired by the Atlanta Falcons. He was the Titans offensive coordinator, and finished. He's known for having gotten Ryan Tannehill to a point of stardom, being a top 10 quarterback at least, if not even a top 5 quarterback. Having schemed up ways to get Derrick Henry 2,000 yards. He's done a great job over the last 2 years. Do we think this can work in Atlanta?
I don't know who Atlanta's running back's going to be to do it with, because it's not going to be Gurley.
Yeah, was Gurley on a 1-year deal?
I don't know. I just don't think Gurley's as good.
No, that's valid. That's valid.
Yeah, but I mean, if he can open up Matt Ryan again, if Julio can stay healthy, the passing game at least is going to be great. I think it's a good. I think it's a good hire. Sucks more for the Titans losing him than I think is good for the Falcons, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Yeah. Falcons are another team that other than a few playmakers, they just don't have a huge identity. Hence why they have a new head coach, but
right, and I think that this for Arthur Smith. I think that it's gonna be. I don't know what the situation is right now with the Falcons, because it feels a little like they might be going into a rebuild. There's a chance, just due to I think that there's some contracts expiring, or just that not. They don't. I don't know what the exact situation is, but it's not. I'm not too sure if this is a win now team, but
it's definitely not.
But we'll see. I mean, we'll see what direction they decide to go. They also have a new general manager, as well. with God, here you go. Terry Fontenot. Fontenot. He's the Saints director of pro scouting. I wish I could remember how to pronounce his name. But he was hired. So I mean, we'll see what those two guys do to work together to kind of make this Falcons roster work. But it should be interesting. Arthur Smith is the son of Fred Smith, who is the CEO of FedEx, and also has been basically spent his entire career with the Tennessee Titans, or a huge chunk of his career with the Tennessee Titans. Like, this way before he got the offensive coordinator gig. So, finally leaving and going to new heights for Smith. All right, it's time to talk about Dan Campbell.
Let's talk about Dan Campbell.
So, if anyone has been following football for years, you would know that in 2015, Dan Campbell was the interim head coach of the Miami Dolphins prior to Adam Gase's hiring, and went 5-7 down the stretch. And he had this he had quite the personality. Was very puffed up chest, all that. He was then he didn't get to keep the job. He went to the Saints as a associate head coach and tight ends coach for basically the entire time that the Saints were in the playoffs. And now he's arrived as the Detroit Lions head coach out of nowhere. This hire happened. Go ahead.
At 11:52 a.m. Central Standard Time, I get a Twitter message from Chris with a YouTube link to the press conference saying, "This is required viewing for today's pod." He starts talking around 19 minutes. He did not start talking about 19 minutes. It was closer to 22, but I found where he was talking.
There you go.
And so I listened to him for a bit. I was like, you know what? I'll start from the beginning. Listen to his whole thing. And I'm like, well, okay, he's thanking a lot of people. It's a little bit odd. Like, he's got a little bit of a weird persona to him, but I don't know what Chris is talking about.
I have the whole quote here. If you want
and then this quote comes up, and I fucking lose it. Go ahead and read it.
Okay. There's a lot going on, because right before this quote, he was like, I'm not gonna sit up here and give you coach speak, all right? I could give you, hey, we're gonna win this many games. I can't. None of that matters. You guys don't want to hear it anyway. You had enough of that shit. Excuse my language. Like, he's already so fucking aggressive. Yes. And then this shit happens. This team is going to take on the identity of the city, all right? And this city's been down, and it found a way to get up, all right? It's found a way to overcome adversity. And so this team's going to be built on, we're going to kick you in the teeth, all right? And when you punch us back, we're going to smile at you. And when you knock us down, we're going to get up. And on the way up, we're going to buy a kneecap off, all right? And we're going to stand up, and it's going to take 2 more shots to knock us down, all right? And on the way up, we're going to take your other kneecap, and then we're going to get up, and then it's going to take 3 shots to get us down, and when we do, we're gonna take another hunk out of you. Before long, we're gonna be the last one standing, alright? That's gonna be the mentality.
The most wild shit I've ever heard from maybe anyone. In a place where that shit you don't hear.
I was blissfully watching this whole thing go down in bed, and while I was laying down, and I was just like, I need to send this to Matt, and he has to watch it.
My god!
I was only seeing clips on Twitter, which is why I didn't get that. I couldn't get you the right times for it, and then I went through the YouTube video and found it. It's if you go on the Lions website, it's 26 minutes in is when the shit when the shit hits the fan, whether he goes off on that. Holy shit, the amount of people who are you better be wearing long pants when you go by the Lions facility. You gotta protect those knees.
Protect the kneecaps.
wear the fucking shin guards or whatever the fuck, where you ride on the bicycle. Oh my god. Okay. I really don't have much else to say about him. It's it's a very strange hire. I mean, we kind of, when you saw it, you're like, okay, sure, Lions, go for it. He got a 6-year deal. On top of that, so we have potentially 6 years of that to look forward to, and it's one of those things where like he's so nuts. He's absolutely nuts, and I love it, and I think it's going to be appointment television. But at the same time, I'm like, do we know if this guy's going to be like actually a good coach, or do we just is he just going to be all talk and like, is he going to be like Rex Ryan, like where like Rex Ryan had like 2 really, really good years. He brought the Jets to the AFC Championship both back-to-back years in 2009 and 2010, but then just flatlined for the rest of his coaching career through his years in Buffalo, and he just kept on like just doing smack talk, and even though he never had anything to show for it. I could see where it goes down that route, and also I think the part of the reason why they gave him a 6-year contract is because of what the fuck, the rebuild, most likely.
Yeah. Makes sense.
That would make sense.
Okay, speaking of that though, do you think Stafford stays on the Lions?
It's a good question. Let's touch upon that next week. So I think next week what we'll do for the Pro Bowl is go through some of the non-playoff teams and kind of talk about what we expect from them in the off season. Anyways, next up we have the Chargers hired Brandon Staley from the Rams. He was the Rams defensive coordinator. Only had 1 year as the defensive coordinator and was hired, and watched his press conference today. Seems like he's kind of like a Sean McVay descendant, where he's young and he's kind of has like a, not like a tough guy personality. He seems like very nice, like Sean McVay sounds nice. So I mean, I don't know what to think of that hire. And then on top of that, you had Nick Sirianni, who was just hired as the Eagles head coach, the Colts offensive coordinator. And it's to this point where I just want to sit here and say, fuck the NFL, man. Y'all drop the ball again on you even instituted these new rules where you're like, we're going to make sure that you're compensated if a coach from your organization, of an African-American head coach from your organization gets hired. And fucking there's been no black coaches hired. No black head coaches. Happened. It has not happened at all.
You got Saleh, but he's Muslim, not black, so.
Right. It is insane to me. I mean, the general manager, it's a different story. You had like, I think at least three black general managers get hired, which is nice to see.
Yeah.
But I mean, my God, we all this talk about Eric Bieniemy. There's also the talk of like Caldwell and Martin Lewis, and there's also a whole bunch of coordinators that also stepped forward. I wish I could remember the name of, but Todd Bowles was getting considered again, and no one got jobs. None of them got jobs. It's insane.
Is Bieniemy just like the worst interviewer in the world?
That's the rumors you keep on that people keep on hearing about, and and everyone that, based off of the press conferences that you see of Eric Bieniemy and the reporters that know Eric Bieniemy have talked about it, he's not a bad interview. He seems very nice, in fact. Like, right. I feel like and every single person that has worked with Bieniemy has come out and very complimentary about him. So I don't understand why the dude's not getting hired. He's a part of one of the best offenses that we have seen.
Could you imagine Bieniemy on the Chargers?
Right. Like, it's amazing to me. And the Texans still have an opening. Crazy how that was the first head coach opening back in fucking October, and that still has not been filled. I think that's also because of the toxic situation that's going on with the Houston Texans.
Yep.
But imagine if imagine if they fill it with another white coach. Like, and then we have a net loss of black coaches in the league.
Yeah.
That's fucking wild.
Oh my god, dude.
Like, you got rid of Anthony Lynn, and now you're down to, like, what? Like, three black coaches? In a league...
Flores.
In a league that is a majority black players. That's the thing. Here's the thing. And I know a lot of people are like, why are we bringing race to it? Whatever. Fucking... The reason why is because there is something wrong in a system where you have a vast majority of the NFL players in our league in our league. It's a fucking part of the organization. In the league is black, and then you have a majority of the coaches are white. Like the image is wrong in my mind to have a white coach in charge of a bunch of black players. It's very weird to me that's just the standard versus like actually having like people of the same color coaching you. You know what I mean? Like, well, it so sucks.
I don't think thankfully I don't think the NFL has any NFL team has fucked up a hire this year as bad as the Chicago White Sox have.
Yeah, what was the White Sox situation again?
So the Chicago White Sox are a generally like young Hispanic team, Hispanic and black team. Let me look. And then they hire this guy Tony La Russa, who is this like really old, stuck in his way type of coach who got a reckless driving charge, potentially DUI, long time ago. So I don't even know if he's like still going to keep it. I hope for the sake of those players, and this coming from a Cubs fan, for the sake of those players, that they find someone else. But that hire just sucked.
Did they actually get rid of him already?
No.
Oh, they kept.
No, at the moment he's still the coach.
All right. Well, they're like, all right with him.
Yeah. So but Cowboys. I want to know, was Mike McCarthy worth it? I know that Dak went out with an injury early on, and I know that you can't base your entire season off of his performance. But was he worth it?
Yeah.
Was that worth it?
I mean,
if he really was like a good coach, could he have gotten it done with Andy Dalton? I think so, and he didn't.
And like everyone was looking at the Cowboys as like, oh man, this is a talent-rich team. Look at this team being so filled with talent to the brim. The defense is gonna be amazing, you know.
And then they weren't.
And then they were not at all.
And then Dak goes away, and you have nobody who can make a fucking football play.
Yeah, it is absolutely wild. Just to quickly recap everything else that happened, we got GM hires. George Patton went to the Broncos. Brad Holmes went to the Lions. Scott Fitterer is the Panthers GM now. As we said earlier, Terry Fontenot. I'm so sorry for mispronouncing this man's name. To the Falcons. Martin Mayhew, the former Lions general manager, is now the Washington football team general manager. Was going to be Marty Hurney at first. But that weirdly changed like an hour ago. So whatever.
Oh yeah, I didn't hear that. I thought it was Marty.
Yeah, Marty Hurney. He's gonna be part of the organization, but just not as general manager. And then Trent Baalke, the former San Francisco general manager, and was the interim GM for the Jaguars. Now the interim tag has been removed. He is now the permanent, or at least for now, the general manager of the Jaguars. And real quick, Bill O'Brien and Doug Marrone are now together in Alabama as Bill O'Brien.
Really?
Bill O'Brien's the offensive coordinator at Alabama, and Doug Marrone is the offensive line coach.
Wow.
So there you go.
That's wild.
AFC South reunion in Alabama there.
I was hoping that Adam Gase would go there.
You know, I think that they got the better of the two, arguably.
Yeah, but I wanted Gase to go there to sink the Alabama team.
You know, I'm so worried about. You know what? Did you hear the rumor about
Adam Gase at the Seahawks?
Oh, that broke my heart,
dude. That would be the fucking worst.
That breaks my heart, the idea that, like, for Seahawks fans who've been just clamoring for just, I'll give us some innovation.
Get some offense.
No,
you get Adam Gase.
You're going to get Adam Gase.
The fantasy footballers, I'm listening to them. They're Cardinals fans.
They're fuck yes.
Yes, they really want that to happen also so that they can continue calling him Mr. Beehole.
Oh my goodness gracious. All right, you know what? We're gonna hold off on the Phillip Rivers retirement talk until either next week or whenever we talk about the Colts or Chargers
in general.
Yeah. So instead, we're gonna do our VBBFL recap.
Let's do it.
So nice fun week last week. 4 games in the books. We got 2 more weeks to go. Matt, you can get us started.
Let's do it. We're going to start with Escondido at Brainerd. It was not the Paladins' day, as all of the players forgot what they were doing and what sport was being played. Meanwhile, Kumatora had a day with a nice day for Escondido. Jeez.
I've been good. I've been good as a late, and that screwed it up for right
you
there.
are. You think you're like an author or something with 3 touchdown passes. That was mean. I'm sorry.
No, I appreciate it. It's a good dig after that. It's okay.
With 3 touchdown passes, including 2 to Phone Guy. Once they realized football was being played, the Paladins had one nice drive with Jesse Faden throwing a touchdown pass to Faith Connors. It didn't matter as Brainerd would go on to lose 20-6 and go to 3-5. The Artisans moved to 4-4.
Next up, the Phoenixes at East Chicago Blacksmiths. The East leading Blacksmiths started things off with a touchdown by Corin the Dragon that nearly destroyed the uprights. Pitt scored the team's second touchdown, but did make a dent in the uprights. A Danganronpa connection put the game out of reach with Leon Quarter throwing to Sakura. Meanwhile, Phoenix City started closing the gap in garbage time. Playa ran in a touchdown and Piranha Plant bit down on the football to score to make the final 29-16. Blacksmiths remained first in the East with a 6-2 record, while Phoenix City is in the basement at 1-7.
Next up, Weatherford Sheriffs at Anaconda Mountaineers. The Sheriffs and Mountaineers dueled in a solid shootout. Sheriffs began the scoring with a deep pass from Samus to Lucio, who rollerbladed into the end zone. A receptionist, Isabel, caught every pass in Anaconda's first drive, including a touchdown. Gengar faded through both teams to score another touchdown, and Olrun caught Chaz McFreely for a score to go into the half tied 14-14. But Samus turned it on in the second half with 3 touchdowns to Crash, Tracer, and Wrecking Ball to put the game out of reach for the Mountaineers. Their final score is 34-27, with Weatherford moving to 7-1 and Anaconda falling to 1-7.
And last but certainly not least, the Mansfield Weavers at Perth Amboy Privateers. Did someone say triple overtime? In what could be the greatest gameplay of this season, Mansfield and Perth Amboy was decided after 18 drives. Mansfield went up early with scores by both Sonic and Atreus, the latter of which was fumbled into the end zone by Ratchet. Even after Sly Cooper responded with a Katamari push into the end zone, Flappy Bird put the Weavers up 20-7 in the third quarter. However, Perth Amboy came back, starting at the end of the third with a bloated Kirby being pushed into the end zone. Octodad caught the game-tying touchdown in the fourth to force overtime. And after a scoreless 5 drives in overtime, Mario ends the game by putting on his gloves, finding Ratchet in the end zone, and cementing a 26-20 triple overtime victory over the Privateers. The Weavers moved to 6-2, while Perth Amboy extended its losing streak to 4 and are at 500.
Things are really heating up. I'm very excited for the last couple weeks of this league.
That game, I'm gonna get it up on YouTube. But that last game was so much fun. Because we had Walsh not on call with us, but he was watching and sending us the same sweaty man image.
Sweaty man.
Over and over again, in the sense that he was so stressed out about this game, especially with the fact that I went to overtime and then, like, it could have ended at any moment. Unfortunately, it did not go in his favor.
No.
but what it was, and I didn't even realize when we did the recap that Perth Amboy came back down 2 scores in the last like 4 drives or so to capture the
get it to overtime in the first place.
Yeah, like that's wild. But yeah, that was a lot. That game was a lot of fun to commentate over, and especially with the fact that Mario kept on forgetting his gloves, and then finally got his gloves to cement the victory. So week 9 most likely will happen the weekend of the Pro Bowl. And I'm at this point, it's gonna be, we're gonna probably go deep into February with this with this season. But once we wrap it up, we'll be moving on probably right away to the next league, and I cannot wait for that. I think we're gonna do cartoon characters, but we're not too sure yet.
I have some ideas I want to talk through with you.
No, yeah, we're gonna probably restructure some things too in the scoring as well.
Absolutely, please, for the love of God.
Yeah. So we've got a lot of things that we're gonna adjust, and we're gonna talk about.
And it's gonna be even better.
It's gonna be better next year. Trust us. So there you go. And just a quick update on Super Tackle Bros. We've been doing the streams every Friday. It's been a lot of fun. We've just been chilling and watching the mascots battle it out. And so here's your final 4 right now. Steely McBeam and KC Wolf will be battling it out in the AFC, and Staley the Bear will take on Blitz in the NFC. So the Bears, Seahawks, Steelers all get to stay alive in January in some regard. And Kansas City is there because, of course, Kansas City is. So there you go. We'll be streaming again this today at 8 p.m. if you're watching this when this podcast goes up.
Yeah, check us out. It's gonna be a quick one.
Probably. So yeah, there you go. And with that, it is time for the championship picks. The first game, Buccaneers at the Packers. The Packers have been the best offense in the league, despite all of our early hesitancies about the fact that they did not draft another wide receiver that to help Aaron Rodgers. It does not stop them at all. But now they will be going up against the hottest team in the NFC, which has been the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, with Tom Brady playing in his first ever NFC Championship game. Which,
good for him.
Yeah, good for him. It sounds
after such a long career, he finally made it to the NFC Championship.
Right, he finally, for so many years of just being there, existing. He finally made it, folks. And a defense that's been playing that at least has played well last week for sure. But has overall been it might even be better this week with Vita Vea potentially coming off of the injured reserve and being prepared to play this week. What do you think is going to happen in this game, my friend?
I have been going back and forth this since the end of the last Buccaneers game on which team I think will win. Obviously, here's the weird thing. I want the Buccaneers as a team to win.
Right.
But I want Aaron Rodgers as a quarterback to win, because I don't want to see Brady in the Super Bowl again.
Sure, 100%. I get that.
So there's a weird sense of like, which one do I want? Which one do I think would be most interesting to go up against my AFC champion?
Right.
And I'm not sure which one it is. We could go the route of we're gonna have the State Farm Bowl, which I know that like they are fucking salivating over this current playoff situation.
Yeah, I forgot.
They
about
didn't
that.
get it last year, and they wanted this year so bad.
Yeah.
But there's something poetic that I can see that has to involve Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. And I think that the overall, both offenses are great. Both quarterbacks are great. There's not much there. when it comes to the defense, the Packers defense works really well at just at shutting certain players down. And the problem is you can't really do that with the Bucs offense because they have so many players that can do things. So I think I think because of that, the Packers are going to have a harder time against the Bucs than maybe some other teams. I'm going to go with Tampa Bay in this game.
Okay. I was kind of surprised because I thought you were like locked in, ready to pick the Bucs no matter what, just because the Packers. But I understand though, because I want to see Aaron Rodgers get another title too. He's been playing. He's one of the all-time greats, and like you would think that he would have to have another Super Bowl under his belt. But
Mike McCarthy.
Yeah, that happened to him, and also the fact that we just saw Drew Brees' career basically end, and he's only gonna have one Super Bowl under his belt. I've struggled with both of these games. I love both of these games. I'm so excited for both. I think they're gonna both be. This is probably this is the most excited I think I've been for a championship weekend I have in a while. Just because I think everything's going to be very fascinating. I'm gonna stick. I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers clicked, and I'll stick with it. I'll go Tampa Bay. It's basically for the reasons that you said. I just think that they've been so hot as of late. I'm super not confident about it though, because it's gonna be super cold up there, and Tampa Bay is a Florida team, but Tom Brady also plays very well in the cold because of all those years in New England. So it's like it's gonna be wild. It's gonna be a wild game, but I'll go Tampa Bay too.
All right.
And also, let's get a team that's a 5 seed in the fucking Super Bowl for
once.
Dude. For once,
who needs 1 seeds anymore?
My God, come on, we're desperate for that, for that to happen, at long last. All right, take us into the AFC Championship game, my friend.
So the AFC Championship game, we have the Buffalo Bills coming off of their 2 playoff wins after a lifetime of no playoff success. Literal lifetime, because Josh Allen wasn't born yet the last time they were good in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Versus a Kansas City Chiefs team who are coached extremely well, have such great players. But the status of Mahomes is still up in the air, and that's going to be huge in determining the outcome of this game. Mm-hmm. I think Mahomes plays.
Yeah.
But whether or not he's at 100% or if he plays at all is still up in the air. What do you think for this outcome?
Yeah, update on that for at least the latest update on this situation as we know it is that he practiced today. So that's a sign.
That is good.
That things are going to go well for them. Well, last week when I it was for me, I picked against the Bills. For the teams that I love the most, I tend to pick against. Because it's always been for me a superstitious thing. If I don't believe in a team, it makes if they do end up winning, it makes it feel better. Like it was like, I didn't have confidence and they're gonna deliver it to me instead of like picking them and thinking that they're actually gonna win, and then hurting my expectations there. The Bills mean a lot to me from when I was, when I first got into football back in like 2014, just because, but Giants have always been number 1 team for me, and the Jets have been like my family's team. But to have like the Bills, who are like, as people say, like the true New York team, like they were like a 9-7 team, I think, in 2014 or something like that. And they were a lot of fun to watch, and I just enjoy. I've always enjoyed the weirdness of the Bills. I've always enjoyed the weirdness of the fans. They're just the most rowdy bunch of crazy people. I love it. And it would mean the world to Buffalo if they can get this team to the Super Bowl after the 4 years of utter hell that they went through. I strongly recommend people watching The Four Falls of Buffalo, because that's a great documentary from ESPN, talking about their 4 straight Super Bowl losses. And because of that, I'm gonna go with the Bills, because I have to put my faith in I want to put my faith in this team. I hate it. I hate doing this because I worry about the superstitious element of it, but I want it to happen. I want to will it into existence. So, going with the Bills.
I have to go with the Bills. They've been my Super Bowl champion since the beginning. I would have loved this to have been a Bills-Browns AFC Championship just because of the fucking legends that would be made here.
Yeah. 100%. I think that would have broken society, I think, though.
That would have been incredible, dude.
It would have broken society.
But,
we're trying to bring society back together, quote unquote.
Yeah.
But
I think that the most poetic thing here, and this is what I'm hoping for, and I saw a couple things about this online, so this is totally original, but it would be one of the most insane storylines.
Yeah.
The Bills take on Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. And after the legendary season that they've had, conquer the person who has put them down for the past 20 years. Just to win it all.
Fuck, man. Fuck. I didn't even think about that. I'm the storyline boy. I'm the
you
one
are the storyline boy. Like that storyline would be the most satisfying I think that we have ever found.
Wow.
For one of these teams.
Fuck. But now I'm gonna want it so badly to happen, and I'm gonna get crushed
when it doesn't. When it's the State Farm Bowl.
Yeah, it's gonna be the State Farm Bowl instead. I would be so excited for a Chiefs Packers Super Bowl though. I
wouldn't.
I know that you wouldn't, because for fan reasons, but it's it's Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers.
It'd be great to watch.
you would want to like impale yourself for Packer talk. I get it. I understand. But a Bills, but I didn't even think about that. Man.
That would be so great, wouldn't it?
And if the Chiefs won, it was the Buccaneers. That's Tom Brady versus Patrick Mahomes again. That whole like 2 years of rivalry there for the Chiefs and Patriots that they've had going on with Tom Brady and Mahomes. Yeah, man. Wow. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I'm excited. So we both picked the Bills and both picked the Buccaneers. So no drama. I'm okay with that. I want to just sit back and enjoy this weekend. It's going to be a great one. I think I don't think I would be I think the Packers Bills storyline is maybe the one that lacks the most juice.
Yeah.
Out of all of them.
Because it's the likely MVP versus the likely MVP runner-up.
Yeah,
that's about it.
And like Stephon Diggs playing against the Packers again, like that's from his years of the Vikings. Like there's some things I'm sure if that does happen, if it is Packers Bills, that there'll be more storylines that pop up, and then we'll be like, oh, okay, that makes it. And I think no matter what, we're gonna get a great Super Bowl, and I think we're gonna get a fantastic championship weekend. Am I wrong to say like this feels like it's gonna be like the closest championship weekend that we've had?
I really can't have a well, I was gonna say rooting interest. There's no clear victor in either of these games.
Yeah. It feels like so uncomfortably close.
Yeah.
But it's comfortable for us fans because we get to fucking enjoy it. I'm so excited. It's gonna be great, and I hope you all enjoy it too. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So just to recap, Friday today. When you see this, keep on forgetting about our schedule adjustment. Today, later on tonight, we're going to do a Smash stream. Most likely it's going to be short. Probably like a half hour. So tune in when you can. And then on On Sunday, we got the championship weekend. And then next week's VBB, we are going to... it's going to be a little bit of a break episode. We're not going to talk any playoffs. We'll probably we'll recap the championship games. And we'll also start going through some of the teams that we haven't really talked a whole lot about since their seasons have ended. And we'll go through them, and we'll give our opinions about what the 2021 year holds for for a good chunk of the teams. I don't want to do all of them because that would be a lot to do all of them, but we'll make a dent in it at least. So stay tuned for that. A new gaming coop just went up. We talked about indie games from Hat in Time to Carteau. That was the two that us two talked about.
Yeah,
but
Stardew Valley. It's a good listen.
Yeah, so go ahead and
if you can get through the first 10 minutes of us talking about poop.
Yeah, we had Castle Crashers as our first game, and there was a lot of talk about the ship propelled deer. So if you want to know context for that, check it out. And any other episodes that went out this week? I know we have Table Party was last week, came out.
Dock of Shame should come out soon. I need to get around to editing that. I've been a little bit busy.
Yeah, no,
a little bit low motivation.
No, I hope that when I do these recap what TCP is doing, that I hope that I hope I'm not putting the pressure on you to
no,
edit.
It's okay. I mean, I need to do it. Is the thing.
I would let that be you. Yeah, what are you doing, Matt? What are you doing about the Dock of Shame? No, you're fine. It's all good. But yeah. Well, we're still doing the cool shit. Thank you all so much for tuning in. And we will see you next week.
Good night and good ball. Virtual Ball Boys has been brought to you by Team Chaos Productions. Find us on Twitter at Virtual Ball Boys and find more of our work at Team Chaos Pods.